What's up, everybody? Tam here, and today I got a fun one for you. I have scoured the internet for 20 questions that new players have had about the My Hero Academia collectible card game, and as a veteran of universes, I'm just going to answer them for you. If you have questions that you want to see or you want to have answers, please leave them in the comments down below. The first 20 comments that I have on questions for the My Hero game, I'm just going to toss another video up. And if you don't want to wait for a video to answer your question and you want a more direct line to me, the easiest way to do so is by going to patreon.com/TamCardwell. Out there is the absolute best way to get in contact with me personally. I check Patreon every single day, and I will have very, very quick answers for you for any questions that you have. So with that, let's jump into the first one. Can anyone explain to me what the rules are for deck building? Yeah, it's kind of simple. So the first thing you have to have whenever deck building is you get to pick one character, one hero or villain, and that is your starting character. For this example, I'm going to use All Might. If you take and you have your All Might selected, you now have to look at the bottom left corner of your character for its resource symbols. All Might has all, earth, and good. And the reason these symbols are important is this limits the deck construction of your 50 card minimum main deck. And so you get to pick one of those symbols. For this example, you will use all, and every card inside of your 50 card deck has to have at least the all symbol on it. It can have more symbols that match All Might, like All Might's cards themselves, but at least the all symbol. Now, I did say minimum. That's because the deck maximum in the My Hero collectible card game is infinite. You can have as many cards inside of your deck as you want. You can have a 120 card deck. It might mess with your ratios, might mess with your consistency, but there's nothing against it. The last big thing of note is the infinity symbol card. If you look at this card here, this card has the infinity symbol, and that symbol represents all 12 symbols at once. So this card can be put in literally every My Hero collectible card game deck that there is. Can someone explain Seal 1 Foundation? So the word seal in the My Hero game means to take away all abilities and it cannot gain them again. So let's pretend that we seal not a foundation in this example, but an attack. We've taken away all written ability text. So it loses its enhances that are printed on the card. It also loses all keyword abilities like stun or flash or whatever, and then it cannot gain them back with anything that says this attack gains stun 1 or so on and so forth. A big thing of note when it comes to seal is you do not lose the keyword traits. If you look at punch, kick, fury, those are not abilities, and so they will stay on the card. So if you have cards that reference them, your fury attack gets +1 damage. That still totally works. I was confused by the Mulligan rule. The Mulligan rule is actually really simple, and I like it a lot. Both players, after determining who goes first or second, gets a selective mulligan. So you get to take and draw your starting hand, take any card that you don't want out of it, put it on the bottom of your deck, redraw back up to your printed hand size, and then shuffle your deck. You only get one of those, so the cards that you redraw, if you don't like those, you don't get an attempt to do it again. Is passing the torch from the demo deck legal? No, it is not. So the demo decks were made about 2 years ago as a surprise to all of us in the Universes community of, we have My Hero. But since then, the card text as well as the art and the names have all changed. And so to keep things nice and simple, the cards that we printed 2 years ago and were given out for free, they are not going to be legal in the My Hero format. If you see a card with the name on the side of the card, it's not legal. If the name is at the top of the card, we are good to go. Does a Chaco's response count as discarding a card from the card pool? No, but it does count as leaving a card from the card pool. So if you look at Blast Rush Turbo, it says that you get the speed and damage bonus if a card has been discarded from your card pool. This does not work with a Chaco's response. On the other hand, cards like Amphibious that says if a card has left your card pool, they do work. Anyone want to share their decks so far and talk about their favorite combo? Yeah, for sure. I'm going to have deck profiles going up all the time over on my YouTube channel, or if you want to catch them early, over on Patreon. Are there any videos of actual gameplay available? At time of recording, I think the only person who has put out gameplay videos is myself, which I've been playing people over on my stream, twitch.tv/TamCardwell. So if you want to come out and get some games, please, I would love to have some new friendly faces over on my Twitch. But yeah, there's going to be tons of videos coming out for gameplay, so don't worry about that. Can someone explain the difference between deck loadable content and regular packs? So a deck loadable content, or DLC as I'll refer it to, is a supplementary pack that is very fixed. If you open up a booster pack of the My Hero collectible card game, what you're going to get is a bunch of random cards, a bunch of commons and uncommons, uncommons, a rare, possibly an ultra rare, possibly an extra rare, and these are not fixed set packs. Well, the DLC are. Whenever you go and you purchase a DLC, what you're getting is 2 of each character, 2 of each attack, and 2 of each foundation all in one bundle. So all you gotta do is buy 2 of these, and you have an entire playset of everything the DLC comes in. The point of these DLCs are not to expand the game huge, but to take and add on to the game that we have. It's 4 characters that already exist in the game, and they play a strategy that is similar yet slightly different to the characters that we already have in the game. Can someone help me out with the rarity abbreviations? In Universes, we don't have a ton of different rarities for cards. We have commons, which are represented by a C. We have uncommons, which are UC. We have rares, which are an R. Ultra rares, which are a UR. In addition to that, we've got SE, which are starter editions, promos, which are represented by a P, and then the My Hero card game has added a couple even more. We have SR, which is a secret rare, which we have 2 of. Extra rares, XR, can be any card in the first 5 categories that I listed: common, uncommon, rare, ultra rare, and starter edition. And then the very last rarity is X. SR, and those are the cards that you've seen floating around there, the secret rares with the Japanese kanji on the side. Really cool collector's items. But yeah, those are all the rarities. Can you use Summon Dark Shadow with Tomura Shigaraki? Absolutely you can. If you look at the symbols down in the corner, both of them have both evil and fire. And so you are legally allowed to put Summon Dark Shadow in a fire Shigaraki deck or an evil Shigaraki deck. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it though, because the strategies of Summon Dark Shadow and Shigaraki don't mesh together perfectly, but hey, if you can make it work, make it work. Do face down cards count as foundations in your stage? Absolutely it does. Anytime that you have a face down card in your stage, whether it be a foundation or not, the game recognizes it as a foundation. That means if you're able to flip your opponent's assets or your Kirishima and you build something in face down, that counts. I will note, as soon as the card gets flipped back face up, the game then recognizes that it is the card type it is supposed to be, and actions and attacks cannot exist in your stage. So they are placed into the discard pile. When using a flip effect, that card stays flipped unless you use an unflip effect, right? You got it, absolutely. The way that I think about flip effects is these are once per game abilities unless you have something to reset them, like Treshik Cape or Naval Laser Beam. Is there a Discord for this game? For sure there are Discords for this game, and I will leave a link to everyone that I know down in the description down below. When is the window to play action cards? For example, Evil Gaze. Actions are like gotcha cards, right? A lot of this game is you figuring out what answers your opponent has on their board, what answers I have on my board, and then playing around that. Well, actions take and turn that on its head a little bit by playing an ability out of your hand that your opponent can't see. Anytime that you can play an enhance, you can play an enhance on an action card. At the same time, if you look at Capture Evildoers, it has a form on it. So anytime that you could play a form, you're allowed to play the form ability of discard momentum, discard 3 cards from your card pool. And then lastly, if we look at Erase, Erase has Eraserhead response. After an attack is played, I can play it. I can play that anytime that I could play the response. What is the difference between face down and face up momentum? So momentum is a really interesting game mechanic. Momentum is like your special bar in a fighting game, right? After I've hit you, I've built up a little bit of energy and I can spin that energy to do a big cool super move. Well, some of the characters in the game have a clause on their cards that say when this goes to momentum, it goes face up. So let me explain all the little nitty-gritty details about face up. If a card is in a public zone, whether it be in your card pool or your discard pile, if it's added to your momentum, it will read the card line and go in face up. If the card is in a private zone on top of your deck or from your hand, it will go into your momentum face down. If a momentum is face down, it then becomes back into a private zone, which means you're not allowed to look at it. If you steal a random momentum with Wealthy Aspirations, you don't get to peek at what it is. That's just unknown knowledge to both you and your opponent. But if you have some way to flip that momentum face up, like Wealthy Aspirations, it then becomes public again and you get to see what's going on. Any ability that has the bracketed word momentum in it can only be played if it is face up in your momentum. Does anyone know if one resolves as much as possible with enhances? The answer is yes. So if you look at the card Summon Dark Shadow and you play the enhance, it's got a lot on it. Enhance : your next check to play a card gets +3, period. Commit your character, period. In a lot of other card games, if you cannot fulfill the entire requirement of the ability, you can't play that ability. And that is not the case with a My Hero card game. If my character is committed, I can play all 4 Summon Dark Shadows if I want and get +12 to my check. Well, wait, +3 to my Semi-Dark Shadow, then +3 to my Semi-Dark Shadow, and +3 to my Semi-Dark Shadow. But in this game, after you have fulfilled the requirement of the colon, you read the card in order and just follow the steps to the best of your ability. If the card says discard a card, then draw a card, and you have no cards in your hand, you'll do your best. You'll discard nothing and then draw your fresh card. But if there is a cost that is involved with the card, you have to pay non-check costs first, such as Evil Gaze says, enhance, pay 2 health, colon. So you would put the card into your card pool, you would pay your 2 health, you would then make your check. Even if you don't pass the check for Evil Gaze, you've still paid the health. What is a form? A form is the timing you have of playing cards. Anytime on your turn you were to play a foundation or an attack into your card pool, that is you playing it as a form. There are some actions, such as capture evildoers, that also have form abilities, and it's just restricting you to only being able to play them on your turn. If a card is removed from the card pool, would all cards in the card pool then move to the left, or would you continue building right? The answer is both. So whenever I play the My Hero card game, I don't play with all the card pool zones like you get in the rival decks with +0, +1, +2 at the top. In fact, a lot of people don't. When you start sitting down and playing as Momo, you're going to blow past those 5 cards in your slot because of how much you're adding to your card pool and ignoring progressive. And so the answer is, if a card would leave your card pool, you just continue building, but you count the difficulty for the cards that are remaining in your card pool for progressive. Can you discard an erase to Eraser Head's Enhance and then take that same erase? Absolutely. In fact, because we talked about it earlier, you do as much as you can. Even if you don't have an erase in your discard pile, you do as much as you can. So you enhance, discard a card, colon. If that card happened to be erase, you can then pick that same erase up and then give your attack ± speed. Is there a good place to buy singles for universes in general? Not just from My Hero Academia, but like Bebop and Hakusho as well. Absolutely, and the best place that I can recommend is Rochester CCG. They have been huge supporters of the channel. I love Sean O'Brien and the boys, and I cannot recommend them higher. RochesterCCG.com. I'll leave a link in the description down below. And there you have it, 20 questions done. Like I said at the very beginning, if you have any questions that you want to ask, leave them in the comments of this video, and I will make a brand new 20 questions as soon as we get them filled up. Or if your question is super timely, you need an answer right now, come join me over on Patreon, patreon.com/TamCardwell, and I would love to answer your questions there. With that said, thank you very much, you guys, for hanging out with me. I greatly appreciate it, and I wish you well.